said that the government is building these ships.
So when do we let the people know?
Our mission is to assure the continuity of our species.
Isn't it also decided the people have the right to fight for their lives? We're gonna all stay together.
In the world of large-scale disaster cinema, few filmmakers have built a reputation quite like Roland Emmerich, known for creating massive spectacles where nature, technology, and humanity collide on an almost unimaginable scale. He previously delivered unforgettable global catastrophes in films like The Day After Tomorrow and Independence Day. With the film 2012, he pushes that vision even further, crafting a story where the very structure of the Earth begins to collapse. It is a film driven by the idea that ancient warnings about the end of the world might hold a frightening truth, and that when the final moments approach, humanity will be forced to confront both its greatest fears and its greatest strengths. The story unfolds around the mysterious concept tied to the Mayan calendar, a cycle that many believed predicted the end of an era in the year 2012. Instead of treating the idea as a simple myth or superstition, the film imagines a terrifying scenario in which hidden changes deep within the Earth begin to destabilize the planet itself. Beneath the surface, powerful geological forces awaken, creating a chain reaction that slowly builds toward a catastrophic collapse of the global environment. At first, the signs are subtle and largely unnoticed by the average person, but for a small group of scientists and government officials who are monitoring unusual solar activity and changes in the Earth's core, the reality becomes impossible to ignore. Among those who understand the coming danger is a brilliant scientist who discovers that intense solar radiation has begun heating the Earth's core in a way never before observed. The effect is devastating. As the planet's interior becomes unstable, tectonic plates begin shifting at dangerous speeds. Earthquakes grow stronger, volcanoes awaken, and the fragile balance that has kept continents stable for millions of years begins to break apart. Governments across the world secretly learn that a global catastrophe is approaching, and the realization forces them to confront a brutal question: how can humanity survive when the entire planet is about to change? While global leaders quietly struggle with impossible decisions behind closed doors, ordinary life continues around the world. People go to work, families plan their futures, and cities continue their endless motion, completely unaware that the foundations beneath them are slowly breaking apart. It is within this everyday world that we meet Jackson Curtis, a struggling writer and divorced father who is trying to maintain a connection with his children while balancing the challenges of his uncertain career. Jackson is not a hero in the traditional sense. He is simply a man trying to rebuild his life and remain present for his family, even as circumstances around him seem to drift further out of his control. Jackson's relationship with his children is complicated but heartfelt. His son and daughter love him, but their lives are largely centered around their mother and her new partner, a successful and stable figure who appears to provide everything Jackson cannot. Despite this tension, Jackson continues to do his best to remain part of their world, hoping that one day he will prove he can be the father they need. It is during a family trip that he begins to encounter strange signs that something far larger is unfolding around them. During a visit to a remote national park, Jackson meets an eccentric radio host who lives in isolation, broadcasting wild theories about government conspiracies and the end of the world. At first, the man's warnings seem absurd and paranoid, yet as Jackson listens more closely, he realizes that the information being shared contains fragments of truth. Hidden projects, secret government operations, and rumors of massive construction efforts in remote parts of the world all hint at something enormous being kept from the public. Meanwhile, the scientists studying the planet's destabilization grow increasingly alarmed as the situation accelerates beyond their worst predictions. What once appeared to be a slow-moving process now begins unfolding at terrifying speed. Earthquakes erupt across multiple continents. Entire regions begin experiencing sudden geological upheavals. The Earth's crust, once stable, starts to fracture in ways that threaten to tear cities apart. As these disasters begin striking populated areas, the world finally starts to see the truth. Buildings crumble, highways split open, and entire communities vanish in moments as the ground beneath them collapses. Massive volcanic eruptions fill the skies with ash, while tsunamis surge across oceans, swallowing coastlines and ports. Every new disaster becomes another piece of evidence that the planet itself is unraveling. Amid the chaos, Jackson learns that governments have been secretly preparing a survival plan for years. Deep within remote mountain ranges, enormous structures have been constructed, massive arks designed to carry a small portion of humanity through the coming destruction. Inspired by the ancient story of Noah's Ark, these colossal vessels are meant to survive the floods and geological chaos that will transform the Earth's surface. But there is a cruel reality attached to this plan. Only a tiny fraction of the global population will be able to board these ships. The knowledge creates a moral dilemma that haunts everyone involved in the project. Who deserves to survive when the world is ending? Wealth, influence, and political power begin shaping the list of those who will be saved. Scientists, engineers, political leaders, and the extremely wealthy are given priority, while billions of ordinary people remain unaware that their time is running out. For Jackson, the discovery of these arks becomes the only hope for protecting his family. As the disasters grow more violent and unpredictable, he realizes that survival will depend not only on reaching the secret location, but also on navigating a collapsing world where every second counts. Roads vanish beneath earthquakes, cities crumble into rubble as airports become scenes of desperate panic as people attempt to escape the spreading destruction. The film's disaster sequences unfold with staggering intensity, each moment escalating the sense that humanity is witnessing the complete breakdown of the planet. Entire cities tilt and collapse as tectonic plates shift beneath them. Skyscrapers crumble like fragile towers of glass and steel. Massive waves sweep across continents, carrying ships and debris far inland. Mountains fracture and slide into valleys, reshaping the landscape in minutes rather than millennia. Yet, despite the overwhelming scale of destruction, the story continually returns to the emotional core of Jackson's journey. His desperate mission to reunite and protect his family becomes the heart of the narrative. Every obstacle he faces is not just a matter of survival, but also a test of how far a father will go for the people he loves. At the same time, the film explores the ethical struggles happening among the world leaders and scientists overseeing the Ark project. Some believe that preserving knowledge, technology, and leadership is the only way to rebuild civilization after the catastrophe. Others feel haunted by the thought of leaving billions behind. The debate grows more intense as the final days approach, and the reality of what must be done becomes impossible to ignore. As the moments of global collapse arrives, the disasters intensify beyond anything humanity has ever witnessed. The Earth's crust shifts so violently that entire continents move, causing oceans to surge inland and reshape the geography of the planet. Cities that once symbolized human progress are reduced to ruins in moments. Airplanes struggle to navigate skies filled with volcanic ash, while massive earthquakes tear apart the final safe routes to the Ark sites. Jackson and his family race against time, navigating a world where every mile traveled feels like a miracle. Their journey becomes a relentless chain of narrow escapes, each one pushing them closer to the possibility of survival, but also closer to the devastating truth that many will not make it. As the arks prepare to launch, tensions rise among those waiting to board. The gates separating safety from destruction represent more than just survival. They symbolize the painful reality that humanity must choose who will carry the future forward. Some characters begin questioning whether the plan should remain limited to the privileged few, while others insist that expanding the list would risk the survival of everyone aboard. When the final disasters strike, the scale of destruction reaches its peak. The Earth's surface undergoes massive transformations. Oceans swallow coastlines, and entire mountain ranges shift under the pressure of the planet's violent upheaval. Against this backdrop, the arks begin their journey into a flooded world, carrying with them the fragile hope that civilization can begin again. Even in the midst of such overwhelming devastation, the film ultimately emphasizes the resilience of the human spirit. Survival is not portrayed as a victory of wealth or power, but as a testament to determination, compassion, and sacrifice. Characters who once seemed divided by status or circumstance begin recognizing that the future of humanity depends on cooperation and empathy. The survivors aboard the arks face an uncertain world ahead. The planet they once knew is gone, replaced by a transformed landscape shaped by floods and geological chaos. Yet within that uncertainty lies a quiet possibility, the chance to rebuild civilization in a way that learns from the mistakes of the past. By the end of the journey, the story leaves viewers with the image of humanity standing at the edge of a new beginning. The disasters that destroyed the old world also cleared the path for something different. The survivors must now determine what kind of society they will create and whether the lessons of the catastrophe will guide them toward a better future. 2012 stands as one of the most ambitious disaster films ever created, combining breathtaking visual spectacle with an emotional story about family, survival, and the choices humanity must make when confronted with extinction. Through its massive scale and relentless pace, the film captures both the terror of a world falling apart and the enduring strength that emerges when people refuse to give up on one another. The result is a cinematic experience that blends action, science fiction, and human drama into a story that imagines the ultimate question: if the end of the world truly arrived, what would humanity fight to save, and what kind of future would remain on the other side of the storm?